You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We've got a lot of good stuff to cover. Let me tell you, I'm having a rotten day, okay? I had something happen today, which just I may talk about later, but not right now. And I've not been feeling good. This happened after I got off the air this morning, and I've been pretty upset all day about something. And then I go through the news. I'm starting to do the show prep for the podcast here, and there's all kinds of great news. If you're MAGA, that is. Now listen, this is great. There's a new Trump versus DeSantis poll out of Florida, and this is key. Listen to this. A new poll, and one thing I like about this poll, it's become the poll of record for Florida. It's done by Florida Atlantic University, which is where I went to college. So it's my college, my university, that's bringing us this wonderful news. And I'm very excited. A new poll shows Donald Trump with a commanding lead over Governor Ron DeSantis in the 2024 Republican primary, even in Florida. Now, before I go through the numbers, this is what you got to understand. Ron DeSantis is the sitting governor of Florida, and 7 months ago, he won re-election, right, when he was still MAGA. The study from the Florida Atlantic University Main Street Polcom Lab shows...
Oh, your alma mater.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's right. That's where I went to college.
Yes, that's right.
That's what makes it doubly good news, because it's like my college doing this. The study from the Florida Atlantic University Main Street Polcom Lab show that if the GOP presidential primary were held today, Ron DeSantis would receive 30.2% of the vote from Floridians, far above rival candidates. However, Trump would receive 50.3% of the statewide primary voters. So he has just over a 20-point lead for President Trump over DeSantis in the state of Florida, where Ron DeSantis is the sitting governor. The story goes on. For further perspective, the poll also asked participants who they would support if all the candidates but Trump and DeSantis were taken out of the primary. In that scenario, DeSantis polled at 37, but Trump maintained a decisive lead of 54%. So he's even higher in that poll. The poll highlights Donald Trump's durable support, said FAU political science professor Kevin Wagner, was not one of my professors. He does especially well with white working class voters. I don't know why they got to label people like that. What does who have formed a steadfast base for President Trump. This persistent support continues to bolster Trump's strong and steady position within the party. The poll also established Trump's solid hold over a fraction of the GOP, for approximately 1 out of 5 Republicans said it would be disloyal to back any other candidate other than Trump. The result follows recent questions about DeSantis' ability to rival Trump, given that his campaign is yet to make any major headway. So, I mean, this is absolutely amazing. And when you put Trump versus Biden, let's see here, the poll also looked at how Trump and DeSantis would fare against Biden. By these results, Trump would defeat Biden in a matchup 49-39. So that's pretty good. So he's got a 10-point lead on Biden in Florida, too. This is incredibly good news. And this poll that was done in Florida, there was a similar poll done in Texas, which I've not seen the results of yet. But what's going on here is there's all this polling that's being done. It's only a matter of time before DeSantis drops out. Now, here's what's going on. He's not going to drop out tomorrow or even next week, okay? We're approaching the middle of July. We're not quite in the middle of July, but we're almost in the middle of July. In the middle of August is when this ridiculous trial is supposed to begin in the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce, Florida, over the documents case in front of that Trump-appointed MAGA judge in the most MAGA county in America. So DeSantis and his people are going to hold out because we've got that. The trial is supposed to start in the middle of August, and then about 2 weeks later is the first Republican debate. That's a Fox News debate moderated by two Trump haters, Martha McCallum, who hates Trump, and Bret Baier, who hates Trump even more than Martha McCallum.
Well, I want to read something that Ron DeSantis said that pertains to that.
Okay.
That was in Mediaite.
Well, okay, hold on, because I don't want to forget my thought. So DeSantis and his creepy Bush, Karl Rove, Koch brother donors are probably, anything can happen. I mean, some of these other polls they're doing might be so devastating. But what they'll probably do is wait until after the court case starts and then the debate to see how that goes, and then DeSantis is going to be out.
Well, what's going to happen when Trump doesn't participate in the debate?
Then it's a non-debate. It's not a real debate. It's like a mock debate at some high school political science club.
I don't think he should participate either.
I agree.
I think he's the clear front runner, and he should not ever debate, but wait till
he has nothing to gain by it.
No, wait till the end, and when it's narrowed down to just 2 or 3 people. Here's what DeSantis said, which is very telling. This was in a Mediaite article, but he said this on Maria Bartiromo's show last week. And this is him. Of course, I look forward to she's talking about the debates. I look forward to doing it. I think really, Maria, that's when people are really going to start paying attention to the primary. I think up to this point, a lot of that has been about some of these legal cases. And I think a lot of the voters concerned about that and are concerned about that, and understandably so. So he's basically saying that he thinks that the debates and how these legal cases, as he calls them, turn out are going to turn the tide for him.
Going to make Trump more popular.
And I think that's why he's not necessarily sweating it. Of course, when I saw a clip of the guy from Fox, who I do like, Will Cain, was kind of confronting him about his lack of likability. DeSantis was so odd in his reaction. He was blinking.
Sorry, guys. That's the next segment.
He was blinking uncontrollably. And a couple people on Twitter, more than a couple, said that he looked like he was fighting back tears. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think it bothers DeSantis that people don't like him. I think he's a robot. And I don't think he cares he doesn't care what people think, as long as, I mean, the guy used his kids as MAGA props to in his campaigning, so he has no soul. But I thought it was very interesting that he tells Maria Bartiromo that a lot of this has been about the legal cases and the debates, and he is convinced that, and he has said this many times, that once these legal cases are settled and the debates start, he is convinced he will turn the tide on his polls.
Well, this case,
which I don't think will happen.
This documents case, I'll give you guys just a quick Reader's Digest of the situation with that. I know I've talked about that in detail on more than one episode of the program, on the radio, on YouTube, and everything else. But I want to go through it again for people that might have missed it, because this is massive. The prosecution made a huge mistake with going to Miami. And I don't think they realized what would happen. And I know a lot of people say, well, no, they wouldn't go to all this trouble and make a mistake. These are government workers. Government workers are by definition incompetent and stupid, okay? Or they'd be in private practice. So this prosecutor—
That's true.
And making millions of dollars. This prosecutor in the documents case from Mar-a-Lago went to the Miami courthouse. The judges, after for the grand jury, the judges are assigned basically on a roulette wheel by random. And it just so happened to land on a judge that was appointed by Trump, who's strong MAGA. But she's not in Miami. She's in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is in St. Lucie County. St. Lucie County, this is the most MAGA community in America.
How does it get decided from a Miami court to go to a judge 4 counties away?
Well, because it's the Southern Florida district.
So it's a whole region.
And and they got different courthouses in the region. They assign it at random. Hers is in Fort Pierce.
Yeah, that was a risky gamble.
The jury pool falls over 3 counties and by the way, it's a 12-person jury if this gets to a jury in this documents case here in Florida. St. Lucie County, Martin County, and Okeechobee County.
Yeah.
These 3 counties this is not an exaggeration, and I'll tell you what, these are the 3 most MAGA counties in all of the United States, not just Florida, the United States. Martin County, these 3 counties on the radio, I cover these areas,
That's
okay?
Right.
And you often don't hear me talk about MAGA Martin County.
Right.
That's one of the counties, okay?
Yeah.
These
where my dad lives.
These counties won 71% for Trump in the last election, 71%. St. Lucie County, and Kathy and I, a few months ago, because our daughter's grown up and moved out, we were going to do what a lot of empty nesters do. We were going to sell our house and buy a new one. which we didn't do, but we were going to move to St. Lucie County where the trial would be. And I met the realtor there, and I don't know the area too well. So he had me meet him at a Starbucks. There were people wearing MAGA hats in the Starbucks.
Yeah,
okay,
that's crazy.
That's insane. In the Starbucks, when
and they weren't afraid to do it.
No.
It was like another day.
No, it's MAGA country, man.
Yeah.
And Okeechobee County is, I lived there when I first moved to Florida. My grandparents retired to Okeechobee County. It's the northern tip of Lake Okeechobee, if you look in Florida.
We're very familiar.
And that is hardcore MAGA. Yeah. So let's just say the judge doesn't throw this out on day one, which she may, or many steps along the way. Let's just say it gets to a jury trial. How are you going to get a conviction on Trump on these trumped-up charges with a 12-person jury and a jury pool that went 71% for Trump in the last election, and it'll probably go 85% for Trump in the next one. And Palm Beach County isn't part of the jury pool because they have their own federal courthouse. So there's
going to be some hardcore MAGA people like Brian on the jury that know what
this is all about,
that are going to convince any one or two people how historic this is and how significant this is and how dangerous it is to put a president in jail.
Statistically speaking, they're going to have a hard time even getting a Democrat on this jury.
Yeah.
The best that the prosecutors could hope for, if it even got to the jury, would be a hung jury. There's no way you're going to convict Trump in the most MAGA 3 counties in the country. So this is a beautiful thing.
It's a hard sell.
And obviously DeSantis is still living this dream.
Yep.
That the court case will make him the front runner, and it's just not going to happen.
I read an article about, and this is what the news does. They live their fantasy life on TV or in their articles. And I read one article where they said that Trump was going to make a deal. And there's no way Trump's going to make a deal, but that's their fantasy because they know they're not going to win this court case. So now they're putting the feelers out there, trying to get it, plant the seed in his head or his team's head. I can't remember who wrote this opinion article, how he's going to cut a deal. He needs to cut a deal. That's what they're trying to do now. They're going to try to scare him into cutting a deal because they know that they're not going to get the conviction that they want. I really hope this judge does the right thing. I think at minimum, she will throw out most of the charges and there might be 1 or 2 charges left. And that still would be, but they're overcharging him. I mean, obviously they're overcharging him completely. There shouldn't be any charges, but she might throw them all out and keep 1 or 2 if there's any inkling of any possibility. But again, I think Trump will prevail. He always does. He was just at this UFC fight. The whole crowd went nuts. If anybody out there doesn't believe in the deep state, ask yourself, why are the people in the government so hell-bent on keeping Trump out when the will of the people is the opposite? It's the will of the people that should decide the leader, not the people in Washington. It is not their job to choose our leaders for us. It is our job. And the people love this guy. But they've tried so hard to convince us that he's a dangerous person. The problem with that is we knew Trump long before he ran for president. We have a long history with this man. Everybody knows him. Everybody loved him before. He was a celebrity. He was well-liked, well-loved. So they're really and he was a great president. So they're really having a hard time selling people on the idea that he's dangerous and that he's bad for America. And especially because they've tried so hard to pin so many things on this guy. And then you come to find out that none of this is true. He's being framed. He's being railroaded.
Always.
And it only makes people realize what he's been saying all along, that the deep state is after him.
Well, President Trump...
How can you not come to that conclusion?
President Trump today, he posted on Truth about the case, about, the documents case.
Yes.
This is what President Trump wrote word for word on Truth Social today.
Okay.
Was crooked Joe Biden on cocaine when he instructed the FBI and Department of Justice to illegally invade my home, Mar-a-Lago, in complete and total violation of my Fourth Amendment rights? Was he on cocaine or various other substances when he, for the first time in U.S. history, had his political opponent, who was leading him in the polls by a lot, indicted and arrested twice, if you include the DOJ-run Manhattan DA's office? We are a nation in decline. This is amazing because if you notice here, President Trump started doing this a few days ago about the cocaine in the White House, where we all keep saying Hunter. He keeps bringing it back to Joe Biden.
Yeah, he does.
And
he's the only one who is.
No, he's the first and only, and he keeps saying it. And when Donald Trump, you guys got it, he's not the host of the Celebrity Apprentice anymore. He is on the inside. And when he keeps referring to Joe Biden and cocaine, that means that he has information that Joe Biden is using cocaine, is giving it to him. And that
it could be somebody that's still working at the White House, somebody on the staff that likes Trump that's letting him know.
I have heard people speculate over the last 2 years that they may give Joe Biden cocaine before public appearances to wake him up. Yeah. And President Trump
gives you energy, right?
He keeps connecting Joe, not Hunter Biden, Joe Biden to the cocaine. And no one, of course, in the press pick up on that because they don't want to run with that huge story. But is the president? This is a serious question. Is our president on coke? Is our president a cokehead? I have known
liberals will tell you that's no big deal.
Yeah,
so what? That's just Joe.
Listen, being in radio.
I'm serious.
Okay, being in radio, my entire adult life. I started in radio when I was like 19 years old. Okay, and I am 52 years old now. Radio, when I first started in radio in the early 90s, all the guys in radio that were older started in radio in the 60s and 70s, right. Some of them in the 80s, okay? They were all on drugs.
Right.
And there's a big difference between cokeheads and potheads, and I've been around both, okay? And I just tell you guys a couple quick stories of people on cocaine, which I've told before, and I'm not mentioning radio stations or names. Some of these people may still be alive, but and I know some of them. Steve and I were recording a commercial with someone one day, and we were in the production room after the show, and this guy kept getting up like every couple of minutes and leaving, and we're trying to write a commercial and record a commercial, and I'm getting aggravated. And I said, Steve, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He says he's a cokehead. He's going out to the car snorting coke. And then I said, it wears off that quick? He said, I guess, because he keeps coming in and out.
Oh, my gosh.
And people that are on cocaine, look at these videos you've seen of Hunter with the hookers and stuff. Most everyone will cop or even pretend to be a pothead because they think it's cool.
Right.
How many people do you hear cop to doing cocaine? Not very many.
No.
There's a big difference between, like, marijuana is considered almost like beer in our society, almost.
Yeah.
Cocaine is like a step below heroin. And people...
Doesn't Bill Maher do an interview show where he smokes pot?
Yeah.
While he's interviewing people? He interviewed Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
And I saw clips. I don't know if Richard Dreyfuss was smoking pot, but he couldn't even sit in his chair.
Which one? Richard Dreyfuss?
Richard Dreyfuss. He was literally sliding out of his chair halfway onto the floor while he was talking to him. I'm like, and Bill Maher smoking a doob.
I saw that, and Richard Dreyfuss, when he fell out of his chair, he says, I think we're going to need a bigger bong. No, I just made that up. Richard Dreyfuss did not say that. I did not see that show.
But yeah, I mean, marijuana has gotten very mainstream.
Yeah, that's like, but cocaine, think about it, people. In your own personal life, and I know I'll get comments, I don't know anyone who's ever said they. Think of all the people you know that have admitted and brag about doing weed. How many people have you known that say, I did go, that people don't, cocaine is a big, and not only that, cocaine is so addictive. But when, I believe the American people got a right to know, is our president high on coke? Because President Trump keeps making this reference. He's done this for 4 or 5 days now. That's not an accident.
Here's what would happen. Say, hypothetically, it came out that it was the president's. They found out.
You mean Biden? You're talking about Biden.
He admitted to it, which would never. I'm just saying hypothetically. How do you think the media would handle that? Oh, it's no big deal. He just needs a little pick me up. They would make cocaine mainstream after that. They would play it down. They would be like, that's nothing. That's no big deal.
They would talk about.
Meanwhile, they impeached Trump over a phone call he had that lasted 2 minutes.
A fine phone call where he did nothing wrong.
A perfect phone call, as Trump likes to say.
That's exactly right.
But the president, if they found out he was doing coke, that's no big deal. These people are disgraceful.
And what they would do is they would start doing stories on how Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in it. It was no problem.
And the health benefits of coke.
And it was
all the wonderful things coke does.
And cocaine was legal until whenever it wasn't.
Half the people in the media are probably on coke, Brian.
Of course, Kathy.
Would you be surprised?
Of course. But President Trump making this reference time and time again
interesting.
is something that I don't understand that we need
He keeps bringing it up.
We need some of our conservative media to jump on this.
Yes.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to get into. Huge stuff. You do not want to miss a moment of this podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this. Are you craving the taste of fresh organic greens in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Braga Farms, a family-run urban farm in the heart of Dallas-Fort Worth that brings the farm-to-table experience to your doorstep. Growing over 45 different varieties of fruits and vegetables in the most natural and wholesome way possible, Braga Farms has made urban homesteading dreams come true. Experience the highest quality greens with Braga Farms' Amazon Prime collection. You'll discover a wide range of expertly curated farming and gardening products that make it easy for you to grow farm-fresh food right where you are. The collection is carefully selected to increase productivity and bring ease to your life. Start your journey back to the land with Braga Farms. Braga Farms can be found at the downtown Dallas Farmers Market every Saturday and Sunday. If you're in town, be sure to stop by and say hi. With a deep appreciation for the land and a passion for helping others, Braga Farms has helped dozens of starting farmers, and they're there for you too. Embrace the farm-to-table experience and enjoy the highest quality greens today. Visit BragaFarmsDFW.com and redefine what it means to eat local. BragaFarmsDFW.com. Are you on the hunt for the most comfortable, stylish, and witty t-shirts that make a statement? Look no further than WrightsWittyWears.com. With a diverse range of unique and clever messages on unisex t-shirts, Wrights Witty Wears has something for everyone. Whether you're shopping for yourself or looking for that perfect gift, you're sure to find just what you need. At Wrights Witty Wears, customer satisfaction is their top priority. That's why they're committed to providing you with an excellent shopping experience, offering a fantastic selection of t-shirts tailored to meet your needs and reflect your personality. Not sure what you want? No problem. Their user-friendly eShop offers multiple ways to help you find the perfect shirt that suits your style and ignites your confidence. Don't miss out. Head over to WrightsWittyWears.com right now. Make sure to use the promo code podcast to receive an exclusive 10% discount on your purchase. Make a statement, embrace your style, and enjoy the best shopping experience at WrightsWittyWears.com. That's WrightsWittyWears.com. Happy shopping. Life can take unexpected turns, especially when it comes to family dynamics. From author Maria Ahmed Mohammed comes the new book, Life with the In-Laws, How Setting Healthy Boundaries Can Help Your Relationships, now available on Amazon. In Life with the In-Laws, meet Anna. Her story begins with hope and dreams as she finds love in Adam. The relationship flourished, leading to marriage and the joy of welcoming their first child. As they prepared for their second child, she made the life-altering decision to leave her home in Africa and join Adam in London, where they could build a life together as a family. But little did she know that her dream would soon turn into a nightmare. Living with her in-laws seemed like a good idea at first, but Anna became the victim of serial domestic abuse from her mother-in-law and other family members. The once promising future was clouded by pain and despair. By the time their third child arrived, Anna had reached her breaking point. Determined to escape the abuse, she plotted a daring plan that would turn her and her family's life upside down. Join Anna on her courageous journey as she learns to set healthy boundaries and redefines her relationships. Discover the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of breaking free from toxic environments. Life with the In-Laws, How Setting Healthy Boundaries Can Help Your Relationships, from author Maria Ahmed Mohammed, is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and be inspired by this tale of survival, resilience, and the pursuit of a life filled with hope.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I'm going to tell people real quick what happened because I know I made a reference at the beginning of the podcast, so I'll tell you what happened today, okay?
Okay.
You know, Kathy, this was just an awful thing that happened today, and I've been upset about it all day. Now, Kathy has a very nice car. She has a beautiful Mini Cooper. And I don't drive the Mini Cooper to work that much, but I've been driving it lately because our daughter's staying with us, and her car's in California, and I've been leaving my car here at home in case our daughter needs a car in the morning. And a couple months ago, some some very heavy person with a very large rear end sat on the hood of Kathy's car to take a selfie or something. And
because it's a really cute car.
It's a nice Mini Cooper.
It's an orange Mini Cooper with the racing stripes. It's adorable with a sunroof. It's really awesome.
And they put a massive dent in the center of the hood. And we just got that car fixed a couple weeks ago, and the insurance covered it. And we had to get a new hood put on the car. The hood had to get painted. The whole front of the car had to be repainted.
Still had to pay the deductible.
$500. But the insurance company covered that.
Right. Thank goodness.
And the car looked like the day we got it. And I was so excited.
Yep.
And I drove the car that way. I picked up the car on Monday. I drove the car somewhere on Wednesday. I just went to the store and came home. And while I was at the store, someone opened their door and dented the driver's side door of Kathy's car. And really bad. I mean, not just a dent, down to the metal.
Right.
So I took the car back to the body shop the Thursday of the same week. I picked the car up on Monday. Thursday, I go to the body shop, and he saw me. He thought something was wrong with the repair. I said, no, repair's beautiful. I said, but I didn't think I was going to be seeing you again, but I got a problem, a dent on the car. I showed him what happened, so he saw it. So this body shop we go to was recommended by our insurance company.
Yeah, they're very good. Yeah,
State Farm. And the repair for this dent damage, where it involves painting and sanding and all this stuff, doesn't meet the deductible. It's $4 under the deductible.
Right.
So I can't put another insurance claim in anyway.
No,
because we just got this hood thing done. So I'm taking the car to the body shop tomorrow to get this dent fixed in Kathy's driver's side door that happened 2 days after I picked the car up from getting the new hood. And I drove the car to work today because I wanted to leave our car here for our daughter, And on the way home, there was a truck in front of me on the Florida Turnpike that had it looked like it was a big, thick rubber mat that you would see like in a doorway, but not a doorway of your home, like of a retail store.
Those big
an industrial size rubber mat that's thick. It's flying to me in the air. I've got cars behind me. I've got cars next to me, and I'm stuck. I can't get out of the lane, out of the way. I slow down as much as I can, and I hit it. But it hit low on the car. It missed the hood. It missed the windshield. And I'm like, oh, great. Fine. I heard it. I thought I just ran over it. I thought, I got lucky. I get home. It busted the whole front bumper on Kathy's car.
Well, it busted a side of it.
The whole bumper's got to be replaced.
Maybe.
They
might be able to replace that one piece.
It's totally busted because the bumper has like plastic over. They make, these liberals have all these mileage federal regulations. The way that car companies maintain these mileage things is they make cars more and more out of plastic to make them lighter. So it's got a cover over the bumper that's all plastic. That's the whole width of the car, and it's cracked. It's got to be replaced. So when I take the car to the body shop tomorrow to get this dent fixed,
oh my goodness,
I got to show him the new damage.
Right.
And
I don't know what's going on.
I'm not going to drive your car when we get the car back. I'm going to put it in the garage.
Just don't drive it to work because you drive on the highway to work.
I'm not going to drive that car anymore. It's going to sit in our drive. And I've been really upset.
Just around town.
All day about it because, it just really upsets me.
Anytime you drive on the highway, your car's going to take a
I've
beating.
never had so many problems with cars getting damaged.
Just bad luck.
This every time I drive this car. So anyway, I've been down in the dumps, but then I see the news, that story about Ron DeSantis getting creamed in Florida where he's a sitting governor. That made me feel good.
Yes.
And these other stories. And then Ana Navarro on The View, who let me just play this in its entirety and then we'll talk about it, okay? I mean, this is just insane. I may have to play it a second time as we talk about it, but let me cue this. This is Ana Navarro. She's up there with Whoopi. And Joy Behar was not there today, so they had an incomplete coven, but they did have some fill-in people joining the coven.
I'll see. Well, it wasn't me in New Hampshire screaming, "We say gay." Though I wish I would have. I try to do it every time I'm anywhere near Ron DeSantis or any of his people. I go around like a dog in Florida with my head outside of my car. We say gay. We say gay. We say gay. Anyways, Cha-Cha.
Okay. Now, let me ask you that. By the way, that clip was courtesy of Newsbusters. I do not watch The View. I got that from newsbusters.org. Okay. They had that clip of that. this is what I'm not sure about with Ana Navarro. Is she just joking and is being sarcastic and funny, or does she want people to think that she goes around Florida yelling gay?
I think it's both.
Because it's virtue signaling.
Here's what's happening with Ana Navarro. She's a rhino, okay? She tells everybody she's a conservative, but she's not. She, as I said before, she's lost a ton of weight. She's probably the thinnest she's ever been, and she's getting some attention for it. And she loves the attention, and she is pandering to this liberal audience and to her bosses, and she loves the applause, and she loves the attention and the adoration she is getting. So she is going to say more and more things that will get her attention, like this, that will get applause. She's now playing to the audience.
That's virtue signaling.
That's
literal virtue signaling.
What do you want to call it? She's playing to her audience, and she wants to keep getting viral, getting in the Daily Mail. And I told you, she is angling to one day take the lead chair on that show. That's how she sees herself taking over Whoopi Goldberg's spot.
She's out of her mind.
That's the lead.
That'll never happen.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Not permanently.
If she plays the game, she's getting more and more famous. More and more people know who she is. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, but
this is not about politics anymore. This is about her career.
That chair started. That was Meredith Vieira's chair, not Barbara's.
I know.
And Meredith Vieira may not seem like this now, but she was a very well-known network journalist for many years. I think I want to say ABC News. And Whoopi Goldberg's an Academy Award. Ana Navarro is just a big mouth.
I understand what you're saying.
She's a nobody.
But the way that things work in this society is when you go viral, and you get more attention, you become a bigger deal. And whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. But that is she is playing to that audience. You know what, getting applause. She's saying anything she can say to stand out.
This whole thing. I saw a story today. This gay guy said he and his husband are leaving Florida and all this stuff.
Florida is not dangerous for the gay community. Give me a break.
Let me tell you, okay? And this is true of Florida.
That's a myth.
Except for San Francisco. Take San Francisco out of the mix, because that's like the gayest place in America, right? San Francisco. Florida is as gay as it gets. You know,
I think Fort Lauderdale has taken that spot.
Fort Lauderdale and Miami Beach. Okay, Fort Lauderdale and Miami Beach are run by gays.
And Orlando.
Fort Lauderdale has a gay mayor. I was in Fort Lauderdale is where I grew up. My mother lives in Fort Lauderdale. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. And I went down to Fort Lauderdale about a week and a half ago. I had to go down there to do something. I had to take an Uber. And a very strange Uber. The guy had a camera mounted on the window facing me the whole time. Anyone who's a passenger, you're on camera in his car for his own safety. I get it, but
just for his own protection.
And then he told me that most Uber drivers carry guns. He told me. I was like, oh, it was very weird, this guy. But anyway, we go through Fort Lauderdale, and there were it was Pride Month, right? Last month, there were gay rainbow flags on not just every business, hanging out of people's houses. Like you would have American flags on the 4th of July. They had. I went by an apartment building. There was a gay pride flag on almost every balcony in this apartment building. That's Fort Lauderdale. You go to Miami Beach. Miami Beach is also run by the gays. Everywhere you go, there's gay flags. Every time I go to South Beach, it seems to be Pride Fest. I think it's Pride Fest every day down there. So this idea that it's dangerous for gays in Florida is one of the most gay-friendly areas in the country outside of San Francisco.
She's just pandering to people, she wants to become a gay icon, I guess. She's just really trying to... it's
Kathy
Griffin, talking about her.
Like Kathy Griffin. She's not gay, but she'll be an icon.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it. She's in the Daily Mail. I mean, she just she really knows how to get attention.
So, today, went out to lunch with our daughter. She's going back home to California this week. So went out to lunch with our daughter today. And after we had lunch... my daughter, our daughter, I'm talking to you guys, not just Kathy. I only have one daughter. Kathy and I share a daughter. My daughter said, oh, there's a bobo tea place there. Let's go have bobo tea. I don't even know what the hell bobo tea is, but I'm wondering, is this bobo tea going to turn me gay? It seems like it's a strange thing with these.
It's very popular.
Bobo balls in it. And they're
like tapioca. It's a thing.
And when we I don't even know. I couldn't even order.
It must not be good because you haven't even.
No, it's good. I'm drinking it now.
Hardly drank it.
No, it's very good. When I took the first sip of it, it was a flavor like I've never experienced before. It was like really weird, but
honeydew.
It's good. No, I like bobo tea. I just don't. It's not going to make me gay. Okay, good. Okay, now I want to play this audio.
Is that what you're worried about? All the things going on
It's
in
going to
the
make me
world?
drink. Well, you should, Kathy. You don't want me to drink something that's going to turn me gay. We're married, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay,
I don't think
that,
you have to worry about.
I think we both have a problem with it.
Yeah,
but
of course, in today's world, you never know. They might slip something in.
You
there.
never know. You never know. But this whole idea that I keep hearing this thing about Florida is not safe for gays, and that's one of the. First off, that's a very insulting comment to make, and if you had a rash of crimes, a crime spree against gays going on. I read an interesting article today. There was an op-ed in the New York Post about this new Supreme Court Justice Ketanji.
Yeah.
I don't know why we got a Supreme Court Justice whose name sounds like a stripper. And she talked in this affirmative action opinion. She wrote that there's a higher death rate among newborn babies if they're delivered by white doctors, that a black baby has a better chance of survival if it's delivered by a black doctor.
That's insane.
One of the most racist things I've ever heard. And the person that wrote that—
She really believes that.
She does. And it's sad because she's well-educated.
Yeah.
But
affirmative action, according to Joy Reid.
The person who wrote that article said, what does she even base this on? Is there—
Exactly.
If it was true that black babies had a higher mortality rate when they were delivered by white doctors, there would be stories all over of black babies being born dead, stillbirth at the hands of white doctors.
She's basically insinuating that there's a genocide happening on the
murders.
It's
like an organized
of black
murder.
babies by white doctors. Maybe she should, but she's pro-abortion.
But at
the same time,
here's
which
the
makes
thing,
no
though.
freaking sense to me.
Okay, here's the thing: these gay people that are leaving Florida that think it's dangerous, they believe that.
You know what is really weird?
And Ketanji on the Supreme Court, she actually believes that BS.
Yeah,
and these are people that are severely brainwashed because the people we're talking about, she's on the Supreme Court of the United States, okay? Yeah. She's an Ivy League educated, top tier attorney and judge on the highest court of the land for the rest of her life. The gays that are talking about leaving Florida because they don't feel safe, as a group, gay Americans are wealthier and have a higher level of education than straights. The reason they're wealthier, they don't have kids as often. And other things, you know what I mean? And so these are educated people who have these just total wackadoo doodle ideas about our
where does she
society.
Pick up that kind of thinking?
That's critical race theory, and it's just a total lie. Now, you sent me this clip that I want to play.
Yeah, it's gone viral.
This is all over social media, and it's a guy, he put this up on TikTok, and his wife took his kid to the doctor. I'll play this uninterrupted. It explains itself. This is scary stuff.
I just pulled over to do this video because I'm literally on fire right now. I just got off the phone with my wife, who took my 9- and 7-year-old boys to the doctor today to get physicals for tackle football and school next year and all that other shit. My 9-year-old son went in first, and the first thing this woman asks him is if he identifies as a boy, a girl, gender fluid, or non-binary. My son, he's never heard of any of that shit before. You've been dealing with him your whole life. He is clearly a boy's boy. So what are you, trying to plant a fucking seed in his head? The only thing I could be thankful for is that my wife took them instead of me. And props to my wife because she said something. And if she didn't, they would have asked my 7-year-old son the same damn question. This shit is ridiculous. And to the people out there to think that there's nothing wrong with that and I'm just a transphobe or all that shit, you're fucked up. This is bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah. He's pretty pissed.
Well, okay. It's so strange how these things happen. When our daughter was young, so we're almost like 20 years ago, a little less, 15 to 20 years ago, there was this trend with liberals. They got to doctors and they were asking kids during just regular visits to the pediatrician if there are guns in their house. And if they said yes, they would ask, what kind of guns and where are they, and all these questions. And I instructed our daughter, if they ever ask that, you tell them no.
You say, or I don't know.
Or you don't know. It's none of their business.
Right.
And I remember they had even literature and signs up on the walls in the doctor's offices and the pediatrician office about guns. They stopped doing it. So now a couple weeks ago, Moms for Liberty got in trouble because they had that Hitler quote about if you give us the mind of the children and all this stuff.
That was stupid.
Okay. Marketing, there's a marketing campaign going on with liberals, okay? When the big name brands have a new product, the textbook examples are Coke and Pepsi. Over the years, Coke and Pepsi have had as spokespeople the top actors and singers of that particular time. Like, remember Michael Jackson's hair caught on fire when he was doing the Coke commercial and stuff like this. And the reason they do is they hire the top musical acts or top actors at the time to promote products is because as older people, we're set in our ways. We're not going to buy the new Pepsi or the new Coke product. Kids will. What they're doing with the doctors here is they are marketing something to children. And what this guy says with lots of profanity about planting a seed, these are kids that don't even – this guy's, uber conservative guy. I promise you, his boys have no idea what these things mean. But the doctor is planting a seed.
That's exactly right.
There.
Which is what he said.
This is a you can call it grooming too, but it's a marketing campaign that is going on.
And fits in with, I read an article. Now, Brown University's in Rhode Island. I think it's a very liberal Ivy League school. They did a survey about how many students there identify as LGBTQ. It's 38% now. That's more than a third, right, of the students identify. That's tripled in the last 10 years, identify in the gay community. So you don't think they're brainwashing kids? You don't think this is a tactic by the left and these liberal, somebody had said, and this is very true on TV, I can't remember who said it, they said the most dangerous people around are white liberal women. And that's what this doctor is. It was a woman. I promise you, a white liberal woman. And they said they are the most dangerous people around because they are the ones taking their children to the drag shows. They are the ones that are confusing their children and want to have a gay, transgender, bisexual, non-binary, kid as a badge of honor to show the world how woke they are and how
more virtue signaling
they are. And let me tell you, if this happened to me, when Emily, was asked about the gun thing, that really upset me. And I answered for her. I was in the room. Never let your kid go in a room alone with the doctor.
Never.
Ever. And so we always went in the room with her. And this one girl asked her, it wasn't the doctor, it was the doctor's nurse, the nurse's aide or whatever that asked her. And she asked Emily, and I said, no, we don't. And then the girl left, and I told Emily, if anybody asks you that, just say no or I don't know. It's none of their damn business. So always go in with your kid. Don't leave your children unsupervised anywhere where there's other adults around. I mean, it's bad enough you got to take them to school and deal with that brainwashing going on there. But if this happened to us and I was there, or if you were there in that room with the doctor, how would you handle that? You don't want to rant and rave and get upset like a lunatic because the next thing you know, they're calling the cops. I would probably just be very polite. I probably, and then I would never take my kid back to that doctor again. But now he has to have a conversation with his children that are too young for this kind of conversation. And that's what this doctor was doing. She was forcing this family into having a conversation they did not want to have because they planted this seed. Yeah. So now the kids are going to say, Mommy, Daddy, what does that mean? And now, kids ruminate on things, think about things. Yeah. And that's something now the father, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And you're right, it's a big marketing campaign. Sickening.
Let me tell you, I'm glad this happened. I'll tell you why. As of this moment, that video has over 17 million views. And by the time you listen to this podcast, because people listen at different times and things like this, it'll be probably double that, if not more. There's a big article in the Daily Mail about it right now. Elon Musk has even commented on the video on Twitter, and I've been telling people for months, and I've gotten a lot of hate from some of our MAGA brothers and sisters on this. I said, when it comes to all this transgender and all this other stuff, just leave it alone. They're gonna push too far and do themselves in.
They already are.
How
would you have handled that though? If you were there,
if you debate against it, they circle the wagons and dig in. If you just leave them alone, this issue about all the genders and stuff is so out there that it would, in the end, it would be over for them.
His father did the right thing going on TikTok, though.
And we've been talking many times on this program about how they're going to push things so far and so outrageous. There's going to be an awakening in the country and stop it. And this father, this is I would count this to be the beginning of the end of this entire movement. Now, the thing is, when things like this happen, I know I would stand up. One thing I've learned in life, when you're in a situation like this, think about it. You're in an examination room with your child and their doctor, and this is one of those things that I think for most people, and I'll say probably I could say, like a lot of these big shots, I would stand up and say, "Yeah, Randolph." Sometimes things happen that are so shocking that it takes a few minutes for it even to sink in that what happened. And I think that if this happened to me, I would and I think this is true of many of you out there, you would be in such shock and disbelief, it would take you several minutes to sink in what just happened. I would not make a scene in front of the kid because that could have negative consequences.
Would you call the AMA? Would you complain?
This is probably an AMA mandate.
Probably.
Like the gun thing was. Okay, so
definitely switch doctors.
The medical profession, those who come up with these things, they're academics, so they're liberals.
Why do you think he didn't say the doctor's name in that video? Which I thought was very interesting that he did not say the name of the doctor because he could. Or is he afraid of getting sued?
Probably that, yeah. And
it happened.
I'm probably afraid of getting sued. But now that it's out there.
They'll find out.
He posted the video on TikTok Friday. Yeah. Today's Monday. Yeah. And this video just started getting circulated today.
People will find out.
So eventually the doctor's going to get identified. Yeah. And I think what we're going to find is either the American Medical Association or whatever board oversees pediatrics, that this is a mandate and this is going on all over the country. You can never allow your child alone with our daughter.
Never.
Was never alone with a doctor. I don't care what the gender of the doctor is, never alone with a doctor or a nurse. You've always got to be with your kids. And when they ask medical questions, you got to answer for your kids all the time and be there. And because you never know what's going on. But they're doing all of these things. The Moms for Liberty, they chose a bad person to quote, Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, that's really stupid.
But you see what they're doing. I
think they need to get a new leader. Whoever's in charge of the newsletter needs to go.
They're trying to get their agenda through by selling it to kids. Now, this TikTok video, this guy here, he's the Rosa Parks of parents right now.
He was like almost in tears. I mean, he was really very devastated that this angry. Clearly, and he has every right to be, and visibly, if you can put in your Facebook group and you go on Twitter, you can see it visibly shaking and almost in tears over
this. He
feels like his child was violated almost.
Because he's raising men, not metrosexual girly guys. Listen, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Romance lovers, are you ready for a book that will knock you off your feet? There's an MMA-themed romance novel. Yeah, you heard me right. Mixed martial arts plus romance means sparks and fists are going to fly in After She Falls. Available on Amazon. After She Falls is a story about a young woman, Audrey Rivera, who dreamed of being a professional fighter, but gave up that dream for the wrong guy. And when their relationship falls apart, she finds herself back in her hometown with a young daughter. her, and she has to face all the people she left behind, including her ex-sparring partner, the handsome Max Lyons. Fans of the classic Rocky story will love this modern retelling with a feisty female protagonist. And the best part is, you can get this knockout debut novel for just $3.99 on Kindle right now. After She Falls is perfect for book clubs too. Order your copy on Amazon. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Are you looking for a reliable taxi service in New York City? Look no further. Syru Taxi has you covered. Online at SyruTaxi.com. That's SYRU. Syru Taxi operates in the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. And if you're a driver looking for a flexible and rewarding career opportunity, drive with Syru Taxi and take control of your schedule. You can drive when you want and make what you need. Whether you need an SUV, sedan, or any convenient cab type, you can book your immediate ride right from your doorstep. Enjoy the luxury of their rides without breaking the bank. You can also download the Syru Taxi app, available in the Apple app and Google Play Store. So whether you're a passenger looking for a reliable ride or a driver seeking a fulfilling career, Syru Taxi is here for you. Visit SyruTaxi.com. That's SYRU, or download the app right now. Syru Taxi, your go-to taxi service in New York City.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. And those of you who are Patreon supporters, remember, Patreon supporters have access to commercial-free editions of all of the podcast episodes. And Kathy and I both, Kathy more than me, but both of us do, post things on the Patreon page that only Patreon supporters get to see. So if you become a Patreon supporter or you are a Patreon, don't forget all that exclusive content that's available to you. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, David, Richard, and Melissa. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. If you would like to become a patron, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode, and on my website, BrianCraigShow.com. All right, so a lot's going on here, and this one here, this is something that has come back. This is also from TikTok. I wanted to share this. And what they're doing to the younger generation today is insane. Listen to this.
The day thing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is from colonialism and white supremacy. As if we didn't have enough good reasons to stop letting external cues tell us how to feed ourselves and start listening to our internal cues, here's another one. Now, I don't know about you, but I hate when crusty old white men tell me what to do with my life, or especially tell me what to do with my body. So eat what you want, when you want. There are no rules. Start listening to what your body is telling you.
Okay, not crusty old white men. Dieting is colonialism now. You know, there's this thing. Okay, I was talking today. There's Gavin Newsom is running for president, guys. He has not announced, but he did an interview with Psaki, and he released.
He's going to run against Joe.
He's going to run it. Yeah, maybe.
Joe said he's not stepping down.
We'll see. I mean, if they get him on that coke charge, But Gavin Newsom released a video about gun control. He wants to have an amendment added to the Constitution that'll take our guns away.
He would be a very dangerous president, that guy. He's a radical lunatic.
Yeah, he's running for president. And anyway, so he's got this campaign he started about there's 27 amendments to the Constitution. It's the 20 he's proposing a 28th amendment, which of course doesn't take your guns away. Just the Second Amendment, that's all. Oh, okay. Oh my God. And I was talking to some people today, and I've got some feedback from people that don't quite get this. Mark Levin started this stupid discussion years ago because he had a book out about having a convention of the states. And someone said a convention of the states is not a constitutional. The last thing you want to do is start amending the Constitution. With our Republican control of the House of Representatives, which controls the entire Treasury, we can't even get the debt ceiling thing handled right. We can't even get a budget through. You get together and you start debating the amendments to the Constitution with Antifa and Black Lives Matter and these Democrats all around, we're going to lose all our rights, okay? There'll be a constitutional right to an abortion. There'll be a constitutional right to have freedom from religion, not of religion, from religion. All these wackadoodle liberal ideas will become parts of a constitution if you have a convention of the states. And anyone who says a convention of the states is not a constitutional convention. You're like Bill Clinton saying, well, did you have sex with this woman, Miss Lewinsky? Well, it depends on what sex is. Oral? No, that's not sex, Give me a break. You're mincing words here. Do not fall into some trap of advocating amending the Constitution. The Constitution is fine, but Gavin Newsom is without question running for president. Well, he's a lunatic, but he's running for president. Now, I want to play this clip. This is the State Department press briefing today. This is the State Department today, and they're talking about Ukraine.
A few things. So I will say, with respect to your first question, we believe the war has been a strategic failure for Ukraine. The secretary spoke to this in a speech he gave in Helsinki last month, I believe it was. What's that? So, I'm sorry, a strategic failure for Ukraine. Thank you for the correction. I need more than one correction today. This is the first time at the podium for a week. I'm apparently a little rusty.
Okay, that's
who is that?
He's the spokesperson for the State Department. He was trying to say Russia.
Good pick.
Government workers are incompetent by definition. Remember, I said that at the top of the podcast.
He makes Jean-Pierre sound brilliant.
Yeah, and he's a crusty old white guy too.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, okay. Biden is giving these cluster bombs to Ukraine. Cluster bombs. Everybody's an expert on cluster bombs. I'm not. I just heard about them. Cluster bombs is a bomb that has a bunch of bombs inside of it.
Right.
And
like a cluster.
A cluster of bombs come out of the cluster bomb. Okay. And when the cluster of bombs come out of the main cluster bomb, the bombs go all over the place, and they're not pinpoint accuracy in detonation and where they hit. Cluster bombs are going to kill civilians. And I thought that these were illegal. I thought cluster bombs were considered the bombs of war criminals. I did not know that we even had cluster bombs anymore. And now we're giving them to Ukraine, to this dictator who's Zelensky.
It's incredible that they want to take our guns away from us, but they're sending these over to kill all these people.
Yeah. These cluster bombs are going to kill civilians because this area over there is tiny where the fighting's happening. And when that cluster bomb, all the cluster of bombs inside are released and they're out of control, it's going to kill civilians, Russian and Ukrainian. We're going to turn on the TV one morning. You're going to wake up one morning, look at your news, and you're going to see dead children. A school is going to get hit. A house is going to get hit. Something, and it's going to be terrible. And according to President Trump, we've got a cocaine head making decisions in this country. Joe Biden, he's calling him a cokehead. And this is scary stuff. Yeah. The war and our involvement in it, in Ukraine against Russia, is escalating. We had in the Cold War, there were hot wars from time to time, Vietnam and Korea, of course, the big ones.
Yeah.
And in Korea and in Vietnam, we were fighting the Chinese. My dad told me he was in direct combat with Chinese. He killed Chinese people. Okay, I mean, when he was in Vietnam, and that's pretty bad. But we
I didn't know the Chinese were involved in that fighting.
In both of them, absolutely, both at Vietnam and Korea. And we did not go ever. Even during the Cold War with Russia, we never went up against Russia like that. China back then was much more third worldish than they are today. Then they weren't we didn't go up against Russia like that. There were some small ends, but not like to give cluster bombs to this outlaw, corrupt Zelensky is an escalation of dangers against this country. We're in a scarier situation.
We've gone down this rabbit hole, Brian, that only Trump can get us out of.
Well, listen, all of us growing up learned about the Cuban Missile Crisis, except Dana Perino. Okay, look up Dana Perino. Didn't know what the Cuban Missile Crisis was, and Don Imus. It'll blow your mind. She did not know what the Cuban.
It doesn't surprise me.
The Cuban Missile Crisis. I'd always been told growing up that was the closest we ever were to a nuclear war, and how dangerous it was. And the people that were running the country then were smart people. The Kennedys, the Kennedys were smart people. They had and President Kennedy, President Kennedy's cabinet was CEOs of major corporations like Ford Motor Company, people like that, McNamara. Okay, these were very smart people. What we have now are idiots and college professors and gangsters
who've never lived in the real world,
and gangsters like Biden who would just take bribes and things. And we have these college professors, gangsters, and incompetents taking us to the closest point with war with Russia than we've ever been, even more so than in the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then yesterday,
but I think they want to do that, Brian.
Yeah, they do.
I think they want
yes.
it. They're not going to try to stop.
Kathy,
Zelensky was saying that Trump. They asked him about Trump saying he could end the war in 24 hours, and he said, "Well, Biden could end it in 5 minutes if we gave Russia what they wanted." I don't think Trump wants to give Russia what they want. I think he would just. Well, this never would have happened if he was in office, but he would probably stop funding this war and stop sending them all of our military and everything like that, and he would force Zelensky to come to an agreement with Putin where they'd have to,
listen,
make
Kathy,
a decision here.
This is what Trump does.
Zelensky never wants this war to end.
This is what Trump does.
Yeah.
Even with 8 years of Obama wrecking the economy, and 2.5 years of this corrupt, senile old coot Biden wrecking the economy, the United States still is the most powerful economy in the world. And all these guys that are in power, Zelensky, Putin, Kim Jong-un, all they care about is money and power. They're gangsters, money and power, gangsters' paradise. All about the money, all about the power.
It's all about the Benjamins.
And for example, when Trump went to see Kim Jong-un in North Korea, what he told Kim Jong-un, he says, "You see those South Korea, how rich they are? That could be you."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, I want to be rich." And Putin, Russia is a very poor third world country. He would just cut them off economically.
Right.
And they would do whatever you want. And that's what Trump's talking about. And when Zelensky, he says, "Oh, Trump says he can end the war," but there's no but. If you're Zelensky and you're legit, not just some gangster corrupt guy, right, who's in this to fill up Swiss and Cayman bank accounts, you say, if you're interviewed and they say, "Well, President Trump says he could end this war in a weekend, 48 hours," you say, "President Trump, my people are dying and fighting. Can you please tell me how to end this war in 48 hours? I want to stop this war." Zelensky obviously doesn't want to stop the war.
Well, you think Zelensky would say, "Great.
No, he said the
opposite. Let's get him elected so we can end this war."
He doesn't want to end the war.
No, of course not.
Because he wants to make money. He's like DeSantis, who wants to make money. He's like Biden, who wants to make money.
Well, and he wants to maintain power.
Yes, these are gangsters and thugs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a prediction here with Zelensky. Zelensky said no elections as long as the war is going on.
Right.
And that's outrageous. We've had elections in this country through every war, including the Civil War.
Right.
We never did not have an election. And in the Civil War, this country was on the verge of collapse during the Democrat insurrection against the U.S. government. We still had an election. Zelensky has appointed himself dictator. And my prediction is there will be a day when Zelensky flees the country or tries to flee the country because
eventually they'll have enough.
He has become a dictator.
Yeah, eventually the people will have enough.
And there's going to be a point where he's going to be like Saddam Hussein. He's going to have to get out of the country or else, and we'll see what he does. Now, listen, guys, we are out of time for today, but we will be back next time. And remember, the Brian Craig Show podcast with my wife, Kathy, here, we're on all podcast platforms. If there's a podcast platform, this podcast is on it. I also upload the podcast on our YouTube channel. And if you follow me on YouTube, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, you should. I put a lot of great content up there. But when I upload the podcast, we have a live chat that's very interactive. We have a great community on my YouTube channel because I do a lot of live streaming on my YouTube channel. And we have a great community that is growing and growing. And if you're looking for a great community of MAGA people, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember, it's free to subscribe to YouTube channels, even though subscribe sounds like you pay. But Brian Craig Show on YouTube. All right, guys, I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.